Dolly Rebecca Parton was born on January 19, 1946, in Sevier County, Tennessee. She grew up in the Great Smoky Mountains, in a family where money was scarce but family bonds were strong. Dolly was one of 12 children born to Robert Lee Parton Sr. and Avi Lee Parton. The Parton family lived a simple life. Her father worked hard to provide for the family, while her mother played an important role in the children's upbringing. The family home was small. Resources were limited, but something existed in that household that money could not buy. Dolly's mother sang, her family sang, and young Dolly quickly discovered that music was more than entertainment. It was a way of expressing feelings, a way of telling stories, a way of bringing people together, and perhaps most importantly, it became a way for Dolly to imagine a future beyond the circumstances she could see around her. As a child, she began writing songs and performing. She didn't have expensive equipment. She didn't have a major record label. She didn't have a professional studio. But she had something incredibly important, a dream. And she took that dream seriously. Many children dream about becoming famous. But dreaming is one thing. Working toward that dream is another. Dolly began performing at a very young age. Her musical talent became obvious early. She wrote songs, she sang, she performed on local radio and television programs. And by the time she was a teenager, she was already determined to make music her career. But there was a problem. The music business was not waiting for her. Dolly had to make her own way. At 13 years old, she made an appearance at the Grand Ole Opry. Think about that, a teenager from rural Tennessee standing on one of the most important stages in country music. For a young girl who had grown up with so little, that moment represented something enormous. But Dolly understood that one performance was not a career. She needed persistence, she needed discipline, and she needed to keep writing. She continued pursuing music after graduating from high school. Then came an important turning point. She moved to Nashville. Nashville was the center of country music. For an aspiring songwriter, it was the place to be. But being in Nashville did not automatically mean success. There were thousands of people trying to make it. Dolly had to prove herself. And she did what she knew best. She wrote, she sang, she worked, and she refused to give up. In 1967, Dolly's career received a major opportunity when she joined the television program The Porter Wagoner Show. Porter Wagoner was already a major country music star. Dolly became part of his show and began reaching a much larger audience. For many people, this could have been the moment when they decided they had finally arrived. But Dolly's ambitions went further. She wanted to be recognized not only as a singer but also as a songwriter and independent artist. And she had something that would become one of the defining characteristics of her career. She knew the value of her own work. Dolly wrote songs that other artists recorded. One of the most famous examples was, I Will Always Love You. She originally wrote and recorded the song herself. It later became an enormous international hit when Whitney Houston recorded her version for the movie The Bodyguard. That song demonstrated something important about Dolly. She wasn't simply a performer. She was a songwriter, a storyteller, a creator, and songwriting would become one of the foundations of her extraordinary career. Success often creates a difficult question. What happens when the path that helped you become successful is no longer the path you want to follow? For Dolly, that question became personal. She eventually decided that she needed to move beyond her professional partnership with Porter Wagoner and pursue her own direction. Leaving a successful television show and professional relationship was not an easy decision. But Dolly believed in her future. She went forward, and her career continued to grow. This period of her life teaches an important lesson. Sometimes growth requires courage. Sometimes the next chapter of your life cannot begin until you have the courage to close the previous one. Dolly did not abandon the lessons she had learned. She took them with her. But she continued moving forward. And then came songs that would help establish her as a major country music star. Songs about love, loss, work, family, heartbreak, hope, and ordinary people. That became one of Dolly's greatest strengths. She could take simple human experiences and turn them into music that millions of people could understand. Dolly Parton's career produced countless songs, but some became cultural landmarks. Jolene, 9 to 5, I Will Always Love You, Coat of Many Colors. These songs are different from one another, but they share something. They tell stories. Jolene tells the story of jealousy, fear, and the vulnerability of love. 9 to 5 Inches speaks to the frustrations of working life. Coat of Many Colors draws inspiration from Dolly's childhood and the meaning of family and dignity despite poverty. And I Will Always Love You captures the pain and maturity of saying goodbye. Dolly's gift was not simply having a beautiful voice. Her gift was understanding people. She understood that behind every life there is a story. Behind every smile there may be pain. Behind every struggle there may be hope. And behind ordinary moments there can be extraordinary meaning. That is why her music has lasted. Dolly's talent could not be contained within country music. She entered the world of film and television. In 1980, she starred alongside Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin in the comedy film 9 to 5. The film became a major success. Dolly also wrote and performed the title song. The song became one of her signature recordings. Her success in entertainment continued. She appeared in films including The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, Rhinestone, and Steel Magnolias. But perhaps the most remarkable part of Dolly's career was not that she could succeed in different industries. It was that she remained recognizably herself. She didn't try to become somebody else. She developed her own identity, her own voice, her own appearance, her own sense of humor, her own business philosophy, and her own way of connecting with people. Dolly understood something that many successful people eventually discover. You don't have to become somebody else to succeed. You have to become the strongest version of yourself. At this point, Dolly Parton had achieved something extraordinary. But her story was becoming bigger than music. She began building businesses and investing in projects connected to her home region. One of the most recognizable examples is Dollywood, the theme park in Tennessee that carries her name. But Dolly's connection to her community went beyond entertainment. She became increasingly known for philanthropy. And one of her most important initiatives is the Imagination Library. The program began in 1995 as a way of providing books to young children. What began as a local effort eventually expanded far beyond Tennessee. Millions of children have received books through the program. Think about that. A woman who grew up in a household where money was limited eventually created an initiative designed to put books into the hands of children. That is a powerful transformation. Her childhood did not disappear. She carried the lessons of that childhood with her. She understood what it meant to have limited resources. And she chose to use her success to help others. Despite becoming an international celebrity, Dolly has maintained a strong connection to East Tennessee and the culture that shaped her. That may be one of the most beautiful parts of her story. She traveled around the world. She became a household name. She worked with some of the biggest entertainers in the world. She became a successful businesswoman. She became an actress, a songwriter, a producer, a philanthropist. But she never tried to erase the little girl from the mountains. Instead, she carried that girl with her. The girl who wrote songs. The girl who dreamed. The girl who understood what it meant to have very little. The girl who believed there could be something more. Perhaps that is why so many people connect with her. Because underneath the fame is a story that feels human. A story about where you come from. And where you choose to go. So what can we learn from Dolly Parton's journey? First, never underestimate humble beginnings. Where you start is not necessarily where you will finish. Second, develop your gift. Dolly didn't simply discover that she could sing. She practiced, she wrote, she performed, she learned the business, she continued improving. Third, know your value. There were moments when Dolly had to make difficult professional decisions. She learned to believe in her own abilities. Fourth, stay connected to your roots. Success does not require you to forget where you came from. And finally, use your success to make a difference. A career can give you fame. Money can give you comfort. But helping another person can give your success a deeper purpose. Dolly Parton's story is therefore not simply a story about becoming famous. It is a story about transformation. As we come to the end of this episode, we pause to remember Dolly Parton, who passed away on August 25, 2026, at the age of 80. From humble beginnings in Tennessee, Dolly became a global music legend whose songs, kindness, faith, and generosity touched millions of lives. Dolly gave the world unforgettable music, unforgettable stories, and a legacy that will continue for generations. So today, Testimony Portal and Telegong pays tribute to a remarkable woman. Thank you, Dolly, for the music. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the inspiration. Your legacy will never be forgotten. Dolly Parton, 1946-2026.